Welcome to this virtual coffee hour, Espresso Europe this time. I'm Mary Lucy, and I'm a member and Vice President of the Academy for Community Engagement Scholarship. We work to actually promote policy, recognize best practices, recognize all of the wonderful people who've, whether they're at the community level, working as a partner, or working at a university, really promoting this concept of community engagement scholarship. And I know our presenters will have more to say about that. And so we're delighted to welcome three colleagues from Europe today, representing Austria and beyond, Slovakia, Croatia. And so I am going to turn this over to Bojana, as well as Betka, who are members of ACES, and their colleague Nadia.
Thank you, Mary, very much, and welcome everyone. It's really great to be here today with you and sharing some of the espresso dosage of changes in European higher education. We want to share with you today the story around European university alliances, which have been really shaping the European higher education area now since 2017, 18, and then probably since 2019 in a more progressive way, because this is when the true piloting started. Let me just briefly introduce to you my colleagues and actually my very dear friends as well. Nadia Manzoni is representing Central European University in Vienna. And Nadia is actually a doctoral candidate in public policy and doctoral school of political science, international relations, and public policy at the Central European University. But one thing that's really interesting from this position is that she's a policy officer in the European Commission's Directorate General for Education, Youth, Sport, and Culture. Nadia will have an introductory presentation so that you can have this broader overview of how this initiative started in the first place, why, how does the funding schemes work, how was the piloting process, what does it mean actually today to be a European University Alliance. And then Betka from Matej University in Slovakia, representing the Emerge Alliance, and myself from Croatia, University of Rijeka, but representing this time YUFE Alliance, will be sharing the case studies of our two university alliances, but focusing on the aspect of university community engagement within our alliances. Sorry for the coughing. Now, we're going to have enough time for presentations and for discussions, but due to diversity of our presentations, we wanted to have the presentation, and then we can have a floor open for questions and discussion, and then we can move to the second and then to the third presentation. But that dynamic will probably depend more on you and your questions and your wish to participate in discussion. So I'll stop sharing this screen for a second, and I'm going to invite Nadia to start with her presentation. Nadia, it's really great to have you here, and thank you one more time to be able to give us your time and expertise on the topic.
It's really a pleasure, and it's also a challenge to synthesize all my thoughts on the European Universities Initiative in a short space of time to people who may not have such experience with it. So please let me know afterwards if I've managed, and do ask any questions. So if you can see my screen all right, I will start. What are we talking about here today? I'm calling it the European Universities Initiative from a policy perspective. As Bojana said, it is a little bit my background. This is a complicated slide, but I'll walk you through it. It shows the the period between December 2017 and today, when this policy on European university alliances has been developed by the European Union. So this is a European Commission or European Union policy that is being implemented in the EU member states and wider, because it comes on the back of many years of collaboration in the Erasmus Plus program, the program that finances mobilities and transnational collaboration of universities since the 80s, and as well as some 20 years of collaboration in the Bologna process, which tried to harmonize and standardize European higher education systems. So sort of waving or riding this wave of success from Erasmus Plus program and the Bologna process, we've had this idea of the European Commission to encourage universities to form transnational networks, but integrated transnational networks of universities to be able to make European higher education more competitive and more attractive globally. And the way the EU that this has been done is through 5 funding calls where university networks exclusively of 8 to 10 members of universities from different European countries have been given funding from the European level to integrate and to introduce certain transnational collaboration activities that I will explain in more detail in a minute. The money available, 1.2 billion, was hailed as a lot. If you ask universities, they will tell you this is not enough when you spread it over all the universities in the initiative. But let's say compared to previous kinds of EU level funding incentives, it is quite significant in the field of education. Another thing that is important to note here is looking at this timeline is that as the initiative went along, as more and more universities were funded to form these networks, we've also had incredible policy development pushes at the European level, which are also quite unprecedented. The European Union has limited competences in the field of higher education and has to tread very carefully and very lightly in comparison to the EU member states that have the power to and the competence and legal competence to govern their higher education systems. But what we have seen, thanks to the emergence and the popularity of this initiative, the emergence of so many networked universities, alliances, we've seen the need for policy steps such as the European strategy for universities and potentially a European degree, a transnational qualification that's just this year been agreed to by the ministers of the European Union, as well as some talks on the European status of these universities, sort of a legal entity at transnational level. This has not yet been approved, but is in the talks and so on. So this is how it developed the last 5 years. And I thought I'd share with you sort of theory of change, or what is the idea? Oh, sorry. What is the idea behind these alliances? What are they actually expected to do? And what are the policy objectives behind it? And if we start from the top, we have sort of outputs, in the middle, the outcomes, in the end, the potential impact. So the idea is, and it is quite impressive, I think, that this idea has been recognized as valid by so many people in today's geopolitically turbulent times. The idea is that by fostering transnational educational partnerships at a higher or a deeper level than just sort of interinstitutional bilateral agreements for mobilities and exchanges that we've had in the past, by fostering these transnational partnerships, by getting universities to formulate long-term strategies together, to sit down and say, what do we want to achieve together, the 8 of us, 10 of us from 10 different countries in 5-10 years' time, by fostering or by financing inter-university campuses, mostly digital, and by facilitating the movement of students, professors, administrative staff between the different campuses in different countries. the idea is that by doing all these things, the outcome will be that universities will pool their resources, they will create joint quality assurance mechanisms, they will there will be more research output, collaborative research output across the countries, more joint programs, joint degrees, joint micro-credentials, and so on. And that this will also foster among the different universities a sense of European identity and belonging to a European community, that this will also push national governments to make reforms in higher education, that this will lead to civic engagement, something we'll hear a lot more about from the colleagues, to student-centered learning, and various reforms that have been sort of trailing behind in European universities, including efforts in equality and diversity, multilingualism, lifelong learning, and so on. The impact, it is hoped, would mean more competitiveness for the whole higher education system of the European Union, innovation, hopefully, so transformation of higher education, a buzzword that is heard a lot, but basically means modernization, I would say, and hopefully also more employability of graduates and a better contribution of universities to the society and economy. These are the sort of high-level goals, and it's still yet to be proven if this kind of initiative can truly lead to these impacts. How are the alliances to do that? They were given quite a lot of autonomy, and this has been recognized as one of the success factors of this initiative. The alliances have been given autonomy in terms of which partners to partner up with, and also what to focus on in terms of their long-term strategies. You will get these slides later, so don't bother trying to read through it, but this is an overview of the different themes that the different alliances have chosen to focus on. And unexpectedly, sustainability, climate change fight, environment were quite high up and have a lot of ended up in a lot of mission statements of these alliances, because also sustainable development goals were specifically one of a requirement for funding, sort of work of the idea that alliances should absolutely work on sustainable development goals was one of the funding requirements. But you'll see also quite high up digital transformation, and this is fantastic. I mean, alliances are actually digital campuses, because it is not feasible to have 8 to 10 different universities in different countries, opening up their campuses to all these students physically. So many have invested in quite interesting digital solutions to open up their course catalogs and their library resources to members from other countries, which goes with a lot of technical issues, as I'm told. And the rest of the themes you can see here. Some of the alliances, it has to be said, have been formed based on pre-existing ties. The research has shown this, that especially in the first few years of this initiative, it was very logical that universities that have worked together before in some capacity have found it easier to merge into alliances. But as the funding calls went along, more and more new partners, new friends have been made. And different alliances have entirely different strategies. Some want to see engineering education harmonized across the EU, and this is their passion. Some want, I don't know, there's an alliance of film academies. They want to really exchange and push forward film education at European level. Others want to really have entire university bodies or all the faculties and departments across all the different disciplinary fields become much more interdisciplinary and challenge-based and so on. So the autonomy was there, and it has resulted in a lot of diversity and a lot of good stuff happening across the universities. The question is how to really make it known and spread through the rest of the sector. Many people feared that this would attract only the best universities. These are some stats to show you the extent and the scope of the initiative at the moment after, let's say, these initial 5 funding calls. And for now, we don't know if there will be more. We have 65 alliances and over 570 universities included. Each alliance has had to suggest associate partners. They are not funded, but their role is very important. These are businesses, these are public authorities, these are local communities, associations, and so on, because the idea is that the excellence in research and education that is produced within alliances doesn't stay within the universities. This is a coverage of about 20% of the higher education landscape at the moment in the EU. And if you really count the students and compare them to the overall student population in the EU, it's about 50%, which, caveat, does not mean that all of them are included in the activities of these alliances, but slowly they are benefiting, possibly without even being aware of it. And as I said, the countries that were allowed to participate, or the universities, are not just limited to European Union universities, but all the Erasmus Plus countries, which is a little bit beyond. And you see that also here in the map that we have. Some universities from the UK, which is not in the Erasmus Plus program, self-fund, which I think is also a bit of a indicator of success. And in the case of Switzerland, which is only to be associated to the Erasmus Plus program as of next year or the year after, in that case, Swiss authorities are funding their own universities to take part because they don't want to be missing out. And I think it's important to also know whether this is an initiative that is elitist, because that's one of the biggest fears that people had about it, that this is going to create a sort of Matthew effect and have more money flowing into the already well-endowed universities. And some research has been done on this front as well. And the term that I find very nice that some of my colleagues have suggested for this initiative is distributed excellence. So rather than having these shining stars, a few top universities and then the lower tiers underneath them, by having this requirement of geographical spread, every alliance had to have members from four different corners of the European Union, and at least one member, and each university can only be a member of one alliance. We've had the result that we have in each country, the number of participating universities is proportional to the system size measured by the number of students in that system. You do see a lot here, a high number in Germany and France and Spain, but these are also the biggest higher education systems in the EU. And also some of them, like Spain, have had a deliberate policy of making sure that that a lot of its universities enter into the initiative. And by now, all but one or two EU member states have co-funded the initiative, so have put money on top of the EU money to help their universities implement the policy. And in terms of the profile of the member institutions, at the beginning, it was really predominantly large, comprehensive, research-intensive, PhD awarding, and STEM-oriented universities that took part, who already had quite a high level of international engagement. And with time, this has spread to very interesting profiles of universities of applied sciences, technical universities, business universities, arts academies, and so on, making the initiative a lot more inclusive than in the past. And still on this graph, you see that out of that nearly 80% of the top ranking universities ranked in the first 100 are participating, and the number goes down as we go along. But with time, colleagues have done research on this, and after the fifth funding call, the initiative has become a lot less elitist, and new profiles have joined, which throws new questions for it that we don't have time to go into. Finally, I'd like to finish with a few question marks. The researchers that I talk to are now wondering, what is this initiative really? What are these alliances really doing to the European higher education system? Some are seeing it as a policy instrument. The EU has had a policy idea, universities should contribute to society. And it has funded that through the only way it could fund it, which is transnational collaboration, because the EU cannot necessarily get involved in much more steering and governance. And that policy has been relatively, has been implemented through the alliances themselves. Others see it as a sort of global fad of strategic aligning of universities that has been on the rise. More and more universities seeking partners in order to be able to be stronger, have a stronger voice, be globally more attractive, and so on. Others yet think this is a clear project of Europeanization and European integration, where where the EU is attempting to do sort of push national governments in the EU to reform their higher education system through the back door via the universities, and sort of squeeze the member states in between the universities and the supranational levels. And also that it's spreading European identity and also kind of closing off a little bit to the rest of the world in a sort of protectionist form. That's also one of the criticisms of the initiative. Others drill into the universities themselves and see fantastic transformation happening there in terms of digitalization, in terms of more focus on student-centered learning. So this initiative has put a spotlight on certain values that the EU holds dear in regards to education, and that has trickled down to new ways of working among administrative staff, much more collaboration, more openness, more multilingualism. So there's been some wonderful innovations, and also in pedagogy and in education. There's a lot less research output. You may have noticed I talk about education mostly, and this is one of the criticisms also, that there's been a lot more education money, which is nice. In the past, there's always been a lot more research money, but it's clear that faculty buy-in and ownership takes place only when there's money there for a research project. So it's important that the next steps will be very important for sustainability of these alliances. We currently have big negotiations taking place at European level about the future of funding of these alliances. Will it be both for research and for education and the third mission, or will it be just one of those? Or will the alliances be the sort of victim of the European competitiveness agenda and steered towards competitive outcomes? This is up in the air, but now you're fully up to date with it. The research community that I talk to is kind of also doing a lot of research on this, and hopefully will also feed into the policy developments in the next days. So that's it from me. Bojana, I'll give it back to you and open for questions later.
Thank you very much, Nadia. Yeah, I'm sure that it was not easy to kind of squeeze everything happening from 2017 up to today in a 15 minutes. But I think you did a great job. But I'm also sure that particularly for the audience that's not part of it, there still might be some unclear aspects, or some questions. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to share. You can use the chat zone as well. I'll just kind of look around the screen. Thank you, Mary. Impressive and amazing what is happening. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to just share one more thing, which I think might be sort of also contextual for everyone to place it as well. This concept of European university alliances was actually first introduced by Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, in his public speech at the Sorbonne University, and it was in September of 2017, if I remember well. And he advocated for the creation of networks of universities that will enable young Europeans to study abroad and to attend classes in at least 2 different European languages. And his first ambition was to set at least 20 such university networks by 2024. And it's 2025, and we have 65 and actually 570 something, right, higher education institutions participating. So idea was sparked kind of by his speech, but it totally, I think, got over any of, the first ideas he might even had at the time. If there are no questions at this point.
I have a question.
Okay, there is. There is one in chat as well from Suzanne. This is a really inspirational effort. I'm particularly interested in how the Civic Engagement, Peace and Democracy Alliance is approaching its work. Nadia, if maybe you can reflect a bit, but some of it will both Betka and I reflect in our examples of the university alliances as well.
I think there is one question from Hiram Gerald.
Yeah, please go ahead, Hiram.
Yeah. Is there somewhere where all the universities are listed?
Do you mean all universities that are part of the alliance or all universities in the EU?
Yes.
There is. I'll post the link to the chat. There is a map and everything online of the,
great.
the website of the commission. Yeah.
Over about a period of 40 years, I helped to set up most of the European countries' associations for infant mental health, and many of them are connected to universities because of educational training around all the disciplines involved with that. Especially, I have a long connection with University of Tampere in Finland, and I think Finland had universities connected with, if I read the map right.
Oh, I'm sure they're part of a certain alliance. Yeah, I know that they're not part of ours and Betka's, but they are. Tampere is a well-known European university.
My one
I'm
colleague
sure
there,
that
Kayapura, is connected to an EU-funded 7-country study of families. So if I can, I'll try to connect. I'll try to find those universities so I can contact all my colleagues over there and see if they're connected to the community part of the work they're doing research-wise. So
please do, Hiram. Nadia just shared the link
really
in the
exciting.
chat.
This is just
Yeah.
amazing. I'm excited. Yeah.
And even if they're not connected, like by this particular issue that you mentioned that you've been working on as well for many decades, what's going on usually within alliances, that then the group of researchers or a group of teachers or a group of different kind of professional staff connect over a certain issue. So for example, in YUFE, we have a bio YUFE, right? So everyone related to biology, biotechnology is a part of the group. We have YUFE law clinics. So from each faculty of law within these 10 universities, those people working on are one subgroup. So you actually have many like kind of micro alliances within a certain university
right.
alliance. And those let's call them micro alliances, are usually disciplinary bounded. So that might be the case, you know, for you to look as well when you're trying to map. There you go. Nadia already sent you a chat that University of Tampere is a member of one of the oldest alliances.
Super, great.
The ECIU, yeah. So check it out. Okay. Does anybody else have
Yes.
any question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Please go
Hi.
ahead.
This is
Is
Jorge
that West
Artiles at
Virginia
West Virginia University. I was very well. First of all, thank you, Nadia and Bojana, for the presentation so far. I am curious to learn. This is a phenomenal, alliance of universities, trying to come together for, the better good, I suppose. How are you incorporating non-university partners in trying to achieve these goals? Do you have a network? How do you serve that network of non-university partners to be able to achieve these goals, these strategic goals that you have presented?
I'll just let you know that I'm sure that some of it Betka and I will address through the examples of our alliances. But Nadia, if you maybe wanna say something about it, I can also say from the governing point as well.
Yes, no, just from a policy perspective, because I know you will give examples from YUFE. This is, I think, an area where there's still a lot more work to be done in general. I think there's incredible individual cases among alliances that have really made it a point to work with, let's say, cities. There's an alliance which really prioritizes the role of a university within the city, and this is their mission to help each other and and reinforce this collaboration, and they meet with the city authorities, and such beautiful things have come out of it. I don't know, I think I'm thinking of CEU, an alliance of ports, of universities in port cities, and never have these port city authorities met with the other port city authorities in another country, because why would they and where would they? And they had the same problems, same environmental issues, same technical issues, same education issues. So there's some really interesting innovation rolling out of these university collaborations that you wouldn't have, nobody had probably expected. But I think in terms of working with the private sector, it's still a little bit, I think, underdeveloped. Or aside from a few sort of technical universities and universities of applied sciences that have been good at doing that in the past as well. So some people are asking the question, okay, if I'm a regionally embedded university with very strong links to my big industry partners, what does this transnational collaboration bring to me when I'm already employing all my students locally and they don't need to speak foreign languages? So there's a lot more, I think, thinking and work needed to really flesh out, what are the benefits of a transnational collaboration of universities for the work of the universities with the local community, with the various stakeholders. And I think Bojana has other kinds of examples of other kinds of stakeholders and societies that
yeah, thank you, Nadia, and thank you for the question. And Norbert also actually got an example in chat saying that he, as an employee of an NGO, was actually invited to be part of an advisory board of a CEU alliance. And for example, in YUFE case, we have a strategic board, and the associated partners that are non-academic actors are part of the strategic, right, council. So they have actually a full vote, over there over certain important strategic decisions. They even have the veto right as well, right? So there are elements, of getting them within the governing structures, the strategic structures of the alliance as well, but then on a very common everyday things that we do within alliances that, of course, they are diverse from alliance to alliance. For example, within YUFE, we also have something that's called town hall. So we do collaborate very closely with all of the local authorities from our YUFE cities. And we have the town hall meetings. So all the mayors from our YUFE cities meet every year at least once, at event, and then discussing not only collaborative mechanisms with universities, but how can we all address issues, right, that we do confront in our communities.
That's great. I guess I was trying to figure out because there might be an opportunity here where it might be feasible, where, for example, mayors not only from your country and related university, but from others can come together. I mean, can universities be that kind of convener? I mean, you now have an alliance where universities are talking to each other. Are your partners talking to each other across countries?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And of course, you have to bear in mind 65 different alliances, right? So we can't talk in the name of every single alliance. I'm sure Nadia has quite a nice overview, actually, of what's going on around those 65, at least on a policy level issue. And we can discuss some of the examples, but that has been actually a major change, and that has been actually quite an amazing added value to the alliances. For example, our mayors have become friends over the years. They really do collaborate. Not to mention that, the mayor of Poland may come now to the Croatia for a vacation with his family, and they always try to find a day at least to meet with our mayor, right? So they are actually having their own little network now, right? As well, but it all started with the university alliance and with all of our university really pushing forward this idea that we need to collaborate closely with our local authorities.
Bueno, I
Mary,
just want to
yeah.
I just want to come back to a message in the chat that I misunderstood before from Susanne about the Civic Engagement, Peace and Democracy Alliance. So just a clarification on the slides I had, Civic Engagement, Peace and Democracy was the overall theme that some 5 or 6 alliances chose to focus on. And when you get the slide, you'll have the names of the alliances, and you can see how they individually decided to go about it. They just fit into this sort of strategic mission.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
My own alliances, or the one I currently belong to, is among them, Civica, the University of Social Sciences. They're trying to be the leading university in social sciences in Europe. Let's see about that. But they do a lot of
set up our missions very ambitiously.
Yeah, very ambitiously. But they do. I can testify from like firsthand experience that research on democratic and anti-democratic or democratic backsliding and anti-democratic movements and democracy preservation has been hugely popular in Civica in the alliance that I'm part of, and that belongs to this group of alliances, and that means a lot of seminars, symposium, conferences, and sort of being part of the alliance elevates. The university was doing that before as well, but being part of an alliance kind of elevates it to another level, also makes the audience way bigger, and then makes also the media impact of these symposia more significant and so on.
Thank you, Nadia, and thank you everyone for participating in this session. There will be more room definitely for questions, discussions, comments. I would like to switch now to our very dear Betka, an ACES member as well. Just a short intro. Betka is working at the Mate Bell University in Banska Bystrica in Slovakia. She's an associate professor at the Faculty of Education. She has really decades of experience in working in service learning, community engaged teaching and learning, volunteering, working with disadvantaged youth as well. And she's actually director of the University Center for Community Partnership at Mate Bell University. Her university is member of alliance called Emerge. And let's hear what Emerge has to share with us. Betka, go ahead.
Thanks a lot very much. Maybe you should go first, but I will go first because we are totally new alliance. So we have been established just in the last call. So it means that we are working for almost 6 months. But like there was a long-term cooperation of the universities before. So we have been already in contact for more than 4 years. The universities which are part of the alliance, because we submitted the project proposal several times. And finally, we were successful, and we were also funded as a universities, but we had also planned what we will do, how we will cooperate when we are not funded. And I totally agree before my presentation what Nadia said and Bojana already said, that it really transforms the institutions. That we can see it only also in this 6 months of working together, because as Bojana mentioned that I'm the director of the UMB Engage, which is a University Center for Community Partnerships, and I think that we have been able to establish the center only because of the pushing of the Emerge Alliance. So it will never, I cannot say it will never happen, but it will never happen, but it happens thanks to this initiative. As you will see, the community engagement is heart of the Emerge Alliance. It's something that is very unique. And coming from small country, Slovakia, when civic or community engagement is really something that is not typical for the universities. Now, it's not expected from the universities to do it. There is no national strategy about it. There is no, money going to this process. It's not part of the quality assurance for the universities or accreditation process. It was something that I explained it 20 years. I sent to people at the university level that they should do something like this. And now it becomes the reality because, not only I explained it at the university level, but also we became the part of the University Alliance, which has the community engagement as a main strategy goal, and it became the reality. And it's really transformed all of the institutions in the Alliance. So let me share my presentation. So, great. So what is the emerge identity, and what emerge really means is the emerge identity is the emerge means empowering the margins of Europe through regional and global engagement. This is the whole title of the projects. And it brings together 9 universities united by the conviction that by working together, we can better serve our students and territories and communities. I choose this sentence, and I'm always choosing this sentence because it's the first sentence in the background situation of the proposal for the Emerge Alliance. And I think like this is something that it's like really the identity of whole Emerge Alliance. And it's also connected with the this couple of words that the third mission is our first mission. It means that the research we produce and the teaching we provide are designed to serve the society, in particular communities and territories that they feel marginalized. So our community engaged activities are mostly focused on the marginalized communities and different disadvantaged groups. So margins or emerge and margins also mean that, as Nadia explained, the University Alliance projects was not only targeted to the high-ranking universities, and it doesn't mean that we are not the high-ranking universities, but it means that we are connecting the universities which are coming from margins. These are not the huge universities. These are not the universities that are the best in the country. Mostly they also, as you can see from the map, they are coming from the margins. They are coming from the marginalized territories. And this is also something that connects the universities. So we, as you can see also from the numbers, 9 universities in 8 countries. So it means that we have 2 universities, but they have like 2 campuses, and they are closely cooperating each other. Maybe also for the US publicum is also I need to say that working in the University Alliance in Europe is also something unique regarding the multi-language communication, because as you can see from these countries, that each country has their own language of the communication. So, and our common language of the communication is English, which is also very challenging sometimes. That maybe it will be not so complicated in the US, but in Europe, then we need to translate all of our materials not only to the English, but also back to our national languages. Community engagement in Emerge Alliance is in the heart of it, and it's like the projects are maybe distributed in the work packages, but this work package is going through all of the other activities that Emerge Alliance is connecting, and it means that it connects also activities in the education, in the research, in the lifelong learning, mobilities, and others that you will see from the examples, like what does it mean to focus on the community engagement in the Alliance. So I choose some of the activities. Some of them are in the process. Some of them are planned to be organized within 4 years of the Emerge Alliance, and hopefully they will also sustain at the universities. So at the beginning, we are focusing on coming up with the common values in community engagement, because also specifically each university is on different stage of development of this topic. And why, how we are doing it, that I will share more examples based on my university example, that we are doing now the mapping of the activities, what is happening at the universities. Then we will use this mapping also to scaling up some initiatives that the universities are doing. So for example, we will share the good practices in the community engagement in between the universities, and we will try to scale it up in a country in which it's not existing. And based on the mapping activities, we will also create our own statements about the values and our own action plan, what we will do and how we will implement all of the ideas that we are having. As a part of the community engagement, we are building the partnerships. This was also a question in the previous session, how we are doing it. In Emerge Alliance, we are creating the civic engagement platform in Emerge, and we are creating the network of community partners. So the idea is really that the community partners will not only work with the local university, but they will be also able to interact in between each other, and they will also work with the universities outside the country. So how? For example, one of the example is that the local partners will be hosting the students for their community engaged projects, or they will participate in the together in the community engaged research projects. In the Emerge Alliance, we are creating one internship and fellowship framework, and part of this framework is also community engagement. The idea is to take the experience that we already had from other inter-university volunteering and service learning program, and we are creating now the system in which the students will go abroad to another country for the community engaged projects during the summer. With the partners, we are also trying to organize the open days as a part of the Emerge Alliance, in which we are cooperating with the community partners. In this Emerge Alliance, the community partners are mostly really small NGOs, but also public institutions as schools, because we are not technical universities. We are also cooperating with the businesses, but this is not our let's say the first idea, or they are not our priorities. Our priorities are really community partners which are working with the marginalized communities, and this is also something that is contributing to the changing of the conditions in which they are living. In the community engaged learning, we are focusing on not only on the learning as a part of the formal system and formal education, but also we are developing as a university's lifelong learning programs. So as you can see, as a part of the Emerge Alliance, we are building up the contact points for the community members. Mostly the contact points should serve as a counseling points for the refugees and migrant communities, how they can attend or how they can become the part of the higher education institutions. This is starts, and we are trying to find our own methodology. But mostly what we are doing in the Emerge Alliance is that we are not establishing these contact points ourselves as a universities, but we are cooperating with the community partners who are already offering this kind of services, and we are offering them spaces also at the universities that they can, together with us, provide some activities for the refugees and migrant communities. Part of the community engaged learning are also activities which are focusing on the recognitions of student engagement in the system of higher education. So we are also creating some schemes in which the students, for example, also for the volunteering activities, can gain the credits which are part of the European Union system of recognition of some learning activities. As I said, community engagement is also connected with the community engaged research. In this part of the research is focused on the community engaged research and involving the communities in different stages of the research. And as a part of it, we are also conducting the training for the mentors and in the community organizations to be able to enter this kind of cooperation with the researchers at the universities. And we are also planning to have the trainings for the citizens to be the part of the community engaged research, which is also not typical for the European universities to do this kind of research. And in the community engagement activities, we are always trying to make the connections, as you saw from the examples of the activities. So we are trying to connect the research, but also we need to cooperate with the mobilities, with the education, because the community engaged learning is part of the European education pathway, which is also kind of the activity in the European alliances that the universities are trying to do some pathway for the students through which they should go as a part of the students of the European Alliance, and to have some courses at the universities to increase specific competencies and knowledge based on the mission of the Alliance. What we are doing in Emerge in this stage, and this is also, I think, the very nice connection, because as I explained at the beginning, we are just focusing on the mapping, and we are cooperating, or we have invited Bojana to share with us the test methodology for the community engagement in higher education, and which is now in the stage of implementing at the universities. And we are mapping based on this methodology at each university the activities that the university is doing, because like no university, like there were the situation that many of the universities that didn't have any idea about what is happening. Only our university and the Limerick University has some like strategy or some office to help the develop community engagement. So this is also something like not just the exercise, but it's very important for the universities itself. So it means that we are mapping all of the activities in the community engagement, in the teaching and learning, research, knowledge exchange. We are mapping the students' initiatives, but also the management processes, what is happening on the level of the management of the universities, what are the policies and support structures at the universities, which can support the community engaged activities. So based on the methodology, we are now in the stage of the mapping report and participative dialogues that we are doing also with not only with the students and with the teachers and other like staff, but also with the community partners. And based on the reports of each university, we will do our common report from the whole Alliance and the action plan for the Alliance in the community engagement. So to have the concrete example, I will use like just some of the data from the mapping at my university, which is like not which is like a regional university in the center of Slovakia. And what we have done as a part of the mapping. As a part of the mapping, we established in the first stage the working group of 25 people coming from the community partners community, which covers also businesses, not only civic associations. And we just like created a shared document together with the people about the practices that they knew in this stage. This was very important step, because based on this we discovered like some level of the university engagement, and we later called the people and we asked them to fill the case studies from which like we know more about their experiences and their community engaged initiatives. We mapped the agreements of cooperation at the university level. So, for example, at our university, we discovered that the university and different faculties has more than 200 agreements of cooperation. In 2024, they were like 100 agreements really active, and some like cooperation can be documented from these more than 200 agreements, and 45 can be considered as a cooperation in the community engagement. At the university level, we identified also 35 service learning courses, which are included in the mapping report, and they are also part of, some of them are also part of our flagship projects that can be shared in the partnerships, and they can be scaled up in the partnership of the universities. And last is that we map the 65 case studies There are like different covered education dimensions, research dimensions, students initiatives. So there are for all of the dimensions of the community engagement. And this is also something that it's like can be used further for the development. We already implemented the dialogue with university staff, students, and community partners. We were able to engage more than 60 people in these dialogues who gave us the feedback on the report, what we are conducting. And we discovered just maybe first of the ideas, and it will be, as we discussed in the Emerge Alliance, they will be very similar in other universities, that what we see our strengths are part of the education. We have a very successful activities in the service and knowledge transfer together with the community organizations. And our university is very open. We are building the partnership with different stakeholders, and we also have a very important supportive peers who are really engaged in the communities, and they are really supporting idea of the community engagement. What are the areas for improvement are the students. So our students really don't do organize themselves, and the activities that they are doing are mostly led by the teachers. And there is also something that it's not tradition at the universities in Slovakia to have really movements of the students or union of the students. The research, community engaged research is just at the beginning. So really, people don't know what is it and how to do it at the university, and it's very similar at other universities in the Alliance. And we have many nice examples, but there are not the policies and structures who can support the activities. The questions in the community engagement are really the sustainability and the spreading in all of the institutions. So many times these are the initiatives of the individuals in departments or faculties, but happening only as a lonely experience, not really something that it's spread it across the institution itself. So same report with will reports or is reporting the each university in the Alliance, and then it will be the challenge to come up with something that can be flexible for the universities, but also we can consider it as a common strategy how to support the community engagement in the Alliance. Okay, thanks a lot very much.
Thank you very much, Betka. Now there was an insight into one example, and I deliberately actually wanted Betka to start with example just because it's a new alliance and it's kind of nomen est omen, right? Emerge, really nice name actually, in this context as well. There have been, some questions and comments, Betka, just for you to know. I've been trying to answer some that I could, some were pointed at you. So maybe while I'm doing my part, you can go through the chat and see, particularly because Norbert has to leave soon and he had some proposals for you. So please take a look at that and get back to him. Now, since it's already 4, if you agree, Norbert, yeah, you need to leave.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Very
No, thank you.
inspiring and a lot to connect in the future. Yeah,
Thank you
you
very
will hear
much for
from me.
being with us.
Yeah.
And Elle also has
Thank
to
you.
leave, so
Bye-bye.
thank you as well for being with us and enjoy the rest of the day. And now, if you agree, I can continue with the next example, and then we can wrap it up with a discussion at the end. So let me just share my presentation. Okay, so it's the YUFE Alliance, Young Universities for the Future of Europe, which was funded in the first cycle. And let's start with a short movie on YUFE, because I think it's going to tackle on something that Betka also mentioned, which is the multilingual aspect of European universities as well.
Imagine a university that breaks borders.
Die talen en culturen overstijgt, diversiteit omarmt.
Que Universität apoya in Europa.
Das ist YUFE. 10 europäische Universitäten, vereint durch eine gemeinsame Vision.
Wzmocnienie następnego pokolenia obywateli na skalę światową.
Luo unelmieisiä opetussuunnitelma Euroopan huippuyliopistoissa.
Ontwikkel je vaardigheden met echte experts.
Collaborer avec des collègues de différents pays sur des défis concrets.
Alors rejoignez-nous, devenez un citoyen ou une citoyenne du monde.
YUFE je tvoja putovnica za budućnost s bezbroj mogućnosti.
Desarrolla tu potencial.
The future of Europe starts with you.
Yeah, that was just a short intro for you to get the idea of YUFE. So just briefly, this is YUFE in numbers. You can also see the spread of YUFE academic members on the map. So 10 universities from 10 countries, but with one exemption apart from other alliances, is that YUFE actually now represents one legal entity, so one European university, and is based in Brussels in Belgium. Within all YUFE universities, there are around 150,000 students, 25,000 faculty and staff members, and 10 million citizens in YUFE cities that we are really trying to connect, right? So we have this philosophy of giving and gaining, working with the people and for the people, and we really want to build strong university citizens community, and we have been trying that, and we have been working very passionately on that by supporting and facilitating students, academics, professional staff, and citizens across this year. This is also just, short intro into the YUFE as an alliance. We are a community-oriented alliance. We really do cultivate a strong commitment to the quality. There is a strong focus on equity, diversity, and inclusivity, as well as multilingualism, which is quite common for the European area. At this point, we have more than 5,000 on and offline university level courses offered to our students, more than 400 different kinds of civic engagement activities, 15 languages, 80 plus staff development opportunities. And just for you to have this idea, so every single university out of these 10 now behave like we are part of one university. So a certain student can enroll in University of Rijeka, but then spend each semester at different YUFE university. The mobility of students is covered as well by the Erasmus mobility funding. There are courses offered online as well as offline. So for those who do not want to be mobile or can't do it because of certain reasons, they can, of course, take online courses from all of those different universities. Now, within YUFE, we have certain areas that are our priority areas. So we work a lot on European identity and responsibilities in a global world, on citizens' well-being, digital societies, and sustainability, and are trying to be more focused, therefore, on these 4 sustainable development goals: the quality education, reduced inequalities, sustainable citizen communities, and partnerships for the goals. How we do it, and I'm talking now just from this perspective of community and civic engagement, which is just one part of different working packages across YUFE. We have developed and piloted through time different programs for our students, and some are for our community members as well. So we have YUFE Service Learning Help Desk, where students can join projects that are usually supervised by academics, that are disciplinary based, and that are there to communicate with citizens. Citizens might have different kind of issues, different kind of problems, different kind of questions. Usually we kind of collect them, and then depending on the topics of different service learning help desks, students are grouped, paired, and then they are providing answers to the citizens. These answers are combined in different ways. They can be posted through blogs, through different web pages. They can be answered directly to the citizens. It really depends on the intensity of certain questions, problems, needs coming, from a certain area. We have YUFE volunteering in the community, at this point partnering with more than 85 local organizations from YUFE cities and YUFE regions where our students can volunteer. We have YUFE at Home program, which is there to support intercultural and intergenerational relationships. It really functions differently in different countries because you have to be aware of the national legal frameworks as well. So YUFE at Home was envisioned as a program where our students, when getting mobile, would be able to have accommodation either for free or for very reduced fee in a certain public, let's say, institution where they could then, volunteer to offer certain kind of support as a compensation for the accommodation and food. So, for example, in one of our partnering universities in Finland, they have a contract with an elderly home where students can get free accommodation and meals, but then they are offering different kind of creative and artistic or sport activities for their beneficiaries. Within the new cycle, we piloted and now started with 2 more programs, YUFE Friends and YUFE International Cafes. YUFE Friends are sort of mix of connecting the mobile students coming to, an unknown country, unknown city with local citizens and local students. And YUFE International Cafes are there to boost the multilingual aspect of our alliance. These are just some of the numbers, and you can see that these are just 2022, 2024 outputs. But just for you to have this idea, we have gained so far, awarded actually 106 civic stars to our students. I'm gonna get back to this one a bit later. We have like every 3rd or 4th month, we do civic engagement activities into training for our students. So far, now even more than 350 students passed that training. We have 16 service learning help desks, 85 different volunteering programs, and the Friend program was piloted with 100 community participants, and it's now running at every YUFE university. The YUFE has the whole STAR system, and it's there for the idea to kind of educate our students beyond the academic degree. So we have mobility star, language star, professional star, and we have YUFE civic star. And here we can see just a short movie that's related with YUFE civic star.
Want to refresh, diversify, and boost your students' experience? Looking for a project that will let you develop your skills, work on your attitude, expand your knowledge, meet new people, gain a sense of belonging, find joy in helping others, and give you a star? You've come to the right place. Explore YUFE civic engagement activities. Choose the activity that suits you best and get going. Sounds easy? It is easy. As easy as 1, 2, 3. First, take the civic engagement activities intro training and find out why community engagement matters and how it can benefit you. Then, 2, act. Choose an activity that will allow you to spread your civic wings to the fullest. Not sure what to choose yet? Happy to assist you. Want to help people by solving issues related to your field of study? Choose one of our service learning help desks. Want to try something new? Get involved in one of 40 YUFE community volunteering programs, act and make world of a difference for someone in one of the YUFE locations. Finally, 3, reflect. To better track your progress in developing your transversal competencies, complete 2 questionnaires, one at the beginning and one at the end of your journey. And that's it. Now you're a YUFE Civic Star. Could it be any easier? Check it out. Go to Virtual Campus at www.virtualcampus.ufe.eu, explore YUFE courses and civic engagement activities, choose your activity, apply, act, and become YUFE Civic Star.
And you could hear the video talking about the virtual campus. So we have created, which was honestly a digital, very turbulent and hard-working process. But over the years, we have built a very, very interactive virtual campus where all our 10 universities are part of. So let's continue just some of the examples of what we do and where it took us. So for example, in 2022, both of YUFE universities, the Universidad Carlos from Madrid and our University of Rijeka, were awarded by the EEE Awards as Engaged Universities of the Year. The Madrid was category winner, and the university where I work, Rijeka, was the first runner-up, but we also won the People's Choice Award as Social Engaged Universities Network. For example, and what else we do, we really do try what Nadia mentioned at the beginning, that's very important, but kind of evolving yet, do research around the social impact that our alliance is making. So we are doing research, we're going to different kind of conferences, publishing papers, and we are really trying to collect as much data as possible to be able to have different kind of level evidence for the social impact. We created YUFE Community Engagement Network. Now, this one is very much focused on non-academic community partners as well. And within this first cycle, we focused on forced migration as a theme. But the YUFE Community Engagement Network is very much vivid, alive, and evolving. So we are really trying to be awakened of what is going on around us. And then within each cycle, the topic is chosen based on some pressing issues across Europe. We are running university community conferences, and the first one was last year. We were hosting it at the University of Rijeka. It was the first edition. This conference is again very much focused on our non-academic partners and on partnerships that our YUFE universities have with non-academic stakeholders in the community. And it's very important for us because it was the first time that we were really able to actually convince our rectors that it's very much important for universities, if they want to send the true message of the partnership out, to contribute to the funding of our community partners as well. So each university actually funded the traveling and accommodation costs for their community partners to be at the conference. We have different kind of yearly gatherings that are civic engagement related. This one, for example, was collaborative gathering held at Madrid and at one of our other partners, Nicholas Copernicus Universities from Torun in Poland. We have YUFE Academy. YUFE Academy is really a dynamic academy of open lectures, workshops, and sessions that it's open for everyone, and it's particularly targeting citizens of our YUFE region. One thing that we have been working on for a very long time, and I'm very proud because it was voted by the Strategic Council in 2024. We created YUFE Community Engagement Declaration 2025-2030. I'm not going to go in details, but the presentation will be shared as well. But you can see here the values that the YUFE set up to nurture, objectives, what do we want, recommendations, how we wanna do it, and it's targeting all the academic pillars, meaning teaching, learning, research, governance, students, collaborative mechanisms, etc. And one thing that was also kind of a leap moment as well, because YUFE started its collaboration with non-academic partners within the quadruple helix model, and over the time we endorsed the quintuple helix model because we really do believe that this framework better showcase the YUFE commitment to holistic development and inclusive partnerships that really benefit diverse communities in our YUFE cities and region. Now, you've seen this framework at Betka's presentation as well. This is something that's still more European-based. I mean, the name says it as well, because TEPC stands for Towards a European Framework for Community Engagement. I was one of the authors of this toolbox. It's an institutional self-reflection framework for community engagement in higher education, and similar to the story that Betka shared with you, this is what we did within YUFE as well. So each of our universities undergo quite an extensive institutional self-reflection over all these 7 dimensions. These are just some of the examples, right? Because the idea through that mapping is to get as many concrete examples and cases from each university. So you can see here different kind of examples. For example, for the management at the University of Rijeka, we have a Senate ordinance that 5 to 10% of the credit points that students can gain through the whole study program, they can gain through community engagement. Or for example, we have Rector's Award for Best Student Volunteering Engagement and Best Student Activism, and so on and so on. Or for example, award for Best Knowledge Transfer Initiatives. And one example that I really want to showcase, just because I think it really, really nicely captures all of these 7 dimensions, is a partnership that University of Rijeka has with an NGO called Center for the Culture of Dialogue, and it's focused on social equity in childhood. Its program is called My Place Under the Sun. And you can see here that I circled all of these seven dimensions, because this partnership really is, I think, a stellar example of how a partnership can be created through all these dimensions. I mean, just to get a bit of the context, this organization is continuously working with children and young people and their family who live at the risk of poverty. They do different kind of tailor-made individual assistance, different kind of workshops. They provide psychological assistance to children and to their families. They have different kind of extracurricular activities. They really do collaborate a lot with kindergartens or schools that these kids attend to, and they are connecting with different kind of organizations and institutions who are actually providing then free services, paying for school meals, membership fees, for example, in libraries, sports class, and providing different kind of support as well. Now, as far as the University of Rijeka, the university provided a space of 300 square meters for free. It assisted in crowdfunding campaign, raising money for the whole renovation, which costs around 300,000 euros. University was promoting different philanthropy campaigns on a national level. University is actually providing meals on a daily basis for the children that are part of the My Place Under the Sun program. We support different kind of expert public discussions on the issue of urban poverty and inclusion of socially vulnerable children. One university constituent and its School of Education have actually has a contractual relationship with the organization, so their students can engage through both study programs and research and practical assignments. And there is a really, really strong supportive leadership, policy, teaching and learning and research element within this partnership coming from the University of Rijeka. And I wanted to share one of these quotes. I really like this quote from Benjamin Barber. He was a political scientist, and I'm sure that the USA crew is familiar with him. he was asked once to demystify, right, university community and civic engagement, and he said that this kind of engagement implies university engagement in those spheres of community in which we do not buy and do not sell, but talk with our neighbors about benefits for our community. And I believe that through this example, I was able to showcase that we are actually talking, right? And that our talks have evolved into sustainable and long-term partnership of fostering innovations and solutions for around 100 childhoods of equal opportunities in our city of Rijeka. These are just some of the photos from the campaign as well that you can see. And we really do believe that there was this very interesting bottom-up and top-down approach that led to the long-term relationship. And this one is here to stay. And regardless of, rectors changing, this program has really been quite anchored in different university strategic and policy documents. And I'll stop sharing here. And thank you for your attention. Now, I was hearing messages in chat coming in, but we do have around 10 more minutes for sure for any questions or comments.
May I jump in quickly? Is there any outreach to Ukraine universities?
Yeah.
In our case, for example, the Ukraine universities are associated partners, so some of them, so they can be like, as Nadia mentioned, they are not financed, but we are trying to find another sources for the Ukrainian universities. So we have one as a partner, and there will be another one.
Thank you very much.
And within what I mentioned, that we have the community engagement network. One of the reasons why we decided to focus on forced migration as a topic within this first cycle and refugees was due to the war in Ukraine, particularly because one of our partnering universities is a Polish university from Torun, and Poland is known to receive, I think, more than 2 million Ukrainians now over this whole time. So it was very important for them as well that this issue has been tackled on a more sort of systemic level and coming from the university and in partnering with different local organizations that have been supporting refugees.
But I think also US universities are associated partners in some cases. So like there is also this like transnational, and like I think that we have some university from South Africa as an associated partner. So it's like the universities alliances, but there is also the idea to involve universities outside Europe.
Yeah, it's beyond my imagination, but there are faculty in Ukraine who are doing some community research with the school systems. We just published an article in a journal I was editor for last year. I mean, it's just amazing that they're able to do this.
Can I add something on the question of Ukraine?
Yeah, please.
I found it great when we still had only 41 alliances, but at the time all of them issued a statement in support of Ukraine, a joint statement. It was one of the first political activities of the alliances, sort of showcasing that they could also have a political voice if they wanted to. At the time, I think it was 400 universities that were part of it, so it's not insignificant. And then another example, Poland was mentioned as an important actor. The Polish National Agency for Mobility Funding, they wanted to invest money in helping or financing mobility of researchers and scientists from Ukraine to the EU, and they found it easier to channel those funds through alliances than through individual universities. So NAWA, the agency in Poland, has then dedicated funds to the alliances represented in Poland to offer to host Ukrainian scientists and then help them move around Europe. And like you say, it's beyond our imagination, but we've had one event we've co-organized that was funded through this project, had people who traveled for 46 hours to be at the event and had to wait for 3 weeks to get a visa. Or one of the letters that it was required to get all the paperwork in place to be able to come. But then they were able to also benefit from the structures within alliances, not just from individual Polish universities, which I found really nice.
I think it was just a couple of days after the war started that there was this huge, and Nadia will remember probably, this huge Excel table circling around university alliances where we could put in our names, department, faculties, different kind of projects and positions that we were able to offer while hosting Ukrainian researchers and students as well. So for example, I remember that University of Rijeka issued also sort of that, at this point we were able to get like 5 researchers and 10 students, for free, get them accommodation, meals, everything. We were even then connecting students with student union who supported them in finding some student jobs so that they would be able, to support themselves. So I think at that time, it was a really huge alliance, kind of what Nadia said, actually quite political, statement, but a very human one as well, that literally happened in a couple of days. There, Nadia shared in chat the statement of alliances. Yeah. Do you see any patterns of interest by young people? What is engaging them? That's such a good question. Petka, you might wanna join as well. I mean, I can tell again from the YUFE experience, because I'm the one doing all this training for students, YUFE students as well. We get actually every single year more and more students are interested to engage, right? Whether it's service learning help desk or volunteering or YUFE at home, it doesn't matter. They really wanna tackle real life, issues, problems, challenges in the communities, and whether we have different kind of YUFE internal sort of hackathons as well, and our local authorities are participating as well, providing some of the major urban issues that they want young people to work on. And it doesn't matter whether it is an issue of, I don't know, cycling in the Netherlands or urban poverty in Rijeka. Students really don't want to engage on real life issues. Now, we could notice over the years that there are some patterns. They do really share this high anxiety because of the climate changes and because of the mental health. So those are really, really some of the issues and topics that they really want to get engaged. But I think for more, it's rather this sense of engaging and belonging, right? And then having the agency and this idea of being able to contribute while they're still studying, right? Not waiting for them to be a legitimate contributor by having a higher degree, right? Higher education degree in their hands, but while they're still studying, that they can offer, quite some knowledge, quite some skills, but also gain a lot as well. So while we were, kind of frightened at the beginning whether this whole our territory of university civic and community engagement will land on a fruitful soil, students keep proving us, yes, very fruitful. So they really want to get engaged.
Thank you.
Well, there was this difficult question of female leadership within alliances. I'm yeah, we've been avoiding it, but we can't any longer.
It's an interesting one.
I've been,
go ahead.
While Bojana was talking, I tried to actually dig out the data. Turns out it's not so easy to dig it out. I would have to do it you'd have to give me a bit more time. There isn't a ready-made answer to this, I don't think. In general, women leadership is low among rectors and pro-rectors and deans of European universities. So I would assume the same to be replicated at the alliance level. I would assume, and we do have this information in a database of European universities called ETER, but I can only search individually by alliance, and there's 56, so I need to do a bit more research. But thanks for a very good research question.
Indeed, Hiram, indeed. What I can say is that not everything at this level also works, nicely. For example, I'm going to share openly the YUFE experience. So within the first cycle, everything was amazing, great, and rectors change, right? And their strategic directions and visions come with them. And for example, we had a university, Tor Vergata from Rome, in the first cycle. Everything seemed perfect. And then the new rector came and they just said, ciao. We want to focus on our own university, on our own strategic goals. We don't want to, spend resources on the European level alliance. And they just said bye-bye and went different way. This is when we got the new member of Sorbona, Noel from Paris to join us. So there are different kind of leadership issues, at the alliance level, regardless of those being portrayed as male or female. In YUFE, at this beginning, I would say that there is a kind of strong male, but female as well, because there are a lot of vice rectors that are female, right? So, at this point, but these are structures that are continuously changing. And that's why it's very important for every alliance to anchor its strategy throughout, the academic stuff, the professional stuff, and students as well, so that a certain, new leadership does not actually erase everything that has been done so far. So, for example, University of Rijeka is now waiting for a new rector elections in the autumn, and we are kind of concerned. We passed 2 minutes over our time frame. I'll ask one more time, just in case there is some urgent comment or question that you want to raise. I'll repeat that this whole session will be has been recorded, will be available not only for the ACES members, but for a large audience as well. Let me just extend my gratitude again to Nadia and Alžbeta for finding time, energy, and passion to share this with the ACES members. And I want to thank all of you, particularly Mary, Lou, for being so open and wanting actually to hear what has been going on in European higher education. It has been really a wonderful session for me as well. Thank you, Hiram. And I wish you all a very nice rest of the day. And I hope this is just the beginning of maybe new espresso session.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
Also.